Today's show brought to you in part by GoToMeeting. For a free 30-day trial, use code podcast at gotomeeting.com.
You've heard about the food pyramid, and now they've changed the rules. Learn more on RV Healthy coming up next. Hey, welcome to RV Healthy. I'm Andy McCaskey from RVNN TV, and I'm joined by our host, Sylvia Tarnuzzer, down in Georgia. Sylvia, what are we going to be talking about today? Are you going to educate me about nutrition?
We are going to try, Andy. We are going to work with the now ChooseMyPlate, because I think that's a much better visual than the old pyramid.
Well, I think that that the plate really is something that you always have handy as a reference, where the pyramid, you had to have your little cheater card, right?
That is correct. That is correct. I love this visual because it really does show that basically if you look at half your plate, does it include fresh fruit and fresh vegetables, or fruit and vegetables on half that plate? And most of us, I could probably tell you, the answer would be no.
Well, you hear a lot of emphasis about having fresh fruit, having fresh vegetables. Does that mean that if you have a choice between fresh and frozen, that you should just forget it if you can't get fresh ones?
No, actually fresh and frozen are equally as good. Frozen vegetables and frozen fruit really is, the freezing process is done at the peak of the ripeness of that fruit or those vegetables, so they're equally as good.
Okay.
The things to kind of stay away from really, or to limit, is the canned.
Yeah, and you know, from bachelor days, the can opener was my friend. That's not been the case in recent years, but you know, it's very tempting to be able to just pop that open. What's the problem with having canned goods as a large part of your diet?
Well, the canned goods there are some out there that are not so bad, but they're just higher in sodium. So you want to make sure that when you are using canned, you limit them, or you look at the sodium and sometimes even sugar count on those canned items. So that's what you need to be aware of.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. We also have a lot of emphasis on dairy products, but there's a situation where the age of the person kind of comes into play, huh?
That is correct. Most of us, especially those of us that are in the RV world, need to have at least 3 cups of dairy every day. And many of us are having a hard time at a certain age to get 3 cups of dairy in. So there's many ways you can do that.
Okay. So I rationalize. I'm not a particular fan of milk, but I love cheese. Is that a good substitute?
Absolutely. You can use cheese. You can use yogurt. You can use many different. There's some smoothies and things out there that do have a good dairy count. What you want to be careful of is to make sure that your dairy is a low fat or a fat free. So you want to make sure it's skim if you are drinking milk or you're making a smoothie. You want to make sure that it is of the lighter version.
Yeah.
So that it has less saturated fat.
Well, there's talking about goals that we talked about in an earlier episode. Maybe that's one for me, because as a farm kid, got used to that whole milk and just have trouble. The 2%'s okay, but boy, I have trouble with that skim.
You know, there's some really good milk products out there right now. Smart Balance has one, some of the almond milk. There's some other solutions out there for those that do love the taste of whole milk, but getting it in a skim or light format.
Yeah, well, that's what I've found is that the almond milk has really just been trying that recently, and that's turned out to be a pretty good substitute. There's a lot of publicity also around whole grains, a lot of advertising there. How does that really fit into the overall picture?
Well, if you can help your diet in any way possible, I would definitely say whole grains could be on the top of the list. Because when you look at whole grains, you want to make sure, first of all, it is 100% whole grain. So you've got things like oatmeal, 100% whole grain products. There's barley, there's many different things that have the whole grains in them. But the whole grains help your digestive, It also helps with the diabetes and the other chronic illnesses that are out there, to include heart disease. So bringing in whole grains and brown rice and the whole wheat pastas, 100% whole wheat pastas, are very important to the diet.
Yeah, it sounds like experimenting is a big part of this. You know, for example, in our family, some of us cared for the rolled oatmeal, others didn't care for the texture, and we've kind of settled on the Scotch oats. But it took a long time of experimenting to actually find something that we liked in the whole grain area.
That's right. There are many different products out there. Steel cut oats, if somebody doesn't like oatmeal, I encourage them to try the steel cut oats. It takes a little bit longer, but they are a very good nutty kind of flavor to them. But there's a lot of good whole grain products out there. Couscous is a wonderful, I love couscous for a great side dish. You can make it cold with a salad. You can make it warm for a side dish differently than maybe a rice or a pasta. It kind of gives you a definite great side dish for the whole grain.
Okay, now guys, of course, are going to be talking about protein, and immediately it comes to mind good steaks, burgers on the grill, and but I think your recommendation is to maybe again be a little more open-minded.
Absolutely open-minded. In fact, this is the area that my husband was very challenged with, because he is a typical guy and he would love a big steak. So you can still have steak, just make sure that it's a lean steak, lean burgers, but also I would encourage you to try some of the turkey burgers, which he's been pleasantly surprised over. I also encourage you to try some of the great fish that's out there, to grill a salmon, to grill a tilapia, to grill a halibut. Those are excellent. To grill a shark steak. Those are excellent alternatives to the red meat products that are out there. So just try. Yeah,
exactly. And of course, if you have college-age kids, they're going to be encouraging you to try veggie burgers, and give them a try. I'm not convinced, but I have an open mind as far as being able to give these things a shot.
Excellent. That's just it. Just try things. There are so many great alternatives out there now. And it really is about finding the ones that will work for you, that you like.
Yeah. So in choosing a variety of things, what about the cooking techniques that you use? What do you recommend?
Well, honestly, we do a lot of grilling ourselves, both out at the campgrounds and at home. And I'm going to put a plug into our Big Green Egg. We have 3 of them, and love to grill. I would also make sure that when you are preparing foods, you make sure if it's not grilling, it's a broiling or a boiling or any of those, and try to stay away from the fried. If you bake it, there's alternatives even to fried chicken to make it a baked, kind of a faux fried chicken, if you will. So just watch the way you do prepare your meals, and watch the fat that you're including as you're preparing them.
Okay, so with a little bit of planning and thought to some of these principles, you can eat healthy when you're on the road, probably healthier in your RV than you would in restaurants, for example.
Absolutely. Now, we will have an episode down the road on restaurants, and I can show you how to eat healthy at restaurants too. But definitely, you want to make sure that you're using the healthy thought process when you're at home, when you're on the road, and you're watching the significant amount of calories that you're putting into your body.
Okay, and of course, guys aren't particularly concerned about keeping an eye on their weight. That's not a problem. And in our next episode, we're going to find something that don't impact guys at all, namely the emotions that surround eating. So, Sylvia, thanks so much for joining us here today. Let me go through the reminder list real quickly. If you go to RVNN, the Pinterest account for RVNN, RV Healthy has a board there where a lot of the topics and recipes and photographs are being posted as well. Of course, follow us on Twitter. You can follow us on Facebook. Join us on Facebook. Don't forget to watch RV Healthy on the Roku and the Boxee so that you can enjoy these episodes again and again. And, of course, visit Sylvia at www.rvhealthy.com. Thanks for joining us here on RV Healthy. We'll see you next time.
Hey, Gabe, wanna go for a walk? Gabe? Gabe? Gabe?
Hey, buddy, you lost? Hold on.
If your pet is the adventuresome type, be sure he's connected to Pet Hub. A quick scan using any smartphone shares your pet's vital information so that even his wildest escapades have a happy ending. Pet Hub, reuniting pets with their families.
Come on, Gabe, let's go home.